An undeniable stirring, a profound and often exquisitely subtle tremor has begun to resonate within the very core of your being, like the first gentle yet persistent notes of an unheard symphony, a melody only your deepest self can initially perceive. This is not a superficial disturbance, easily dismissed by a busy mind or ignored amidst the clamor of daily life, but a deep, resonant internal movement, an awakening of consciousness that transcends the familiar grasp of ordinary, linear reasoning or purely intellectual understanding. It is a stirring that speaks a language older than words, a wisdom that bypasses the analytical mind and communicates directly with the heart. You've likely sensed its subtle or perhaps at times strikingly, almost startlingly not so subtle presence vibrating in the marrow of your bones, a deep-seated ancient knowing that hums a persistent, quiet, yet compelling tune beneath the often chaotic surface of your daily life, a resonant frequency that calls you towards a greater truth. It is a melody your soul intrinsically recognizes, a familiar song from a forgotten homeland, a distant echo of your true origin, even if your conscious mind is still diligently, sometimes frantically catching up, trying to decipher its meaning, its source, and its profound implications for your life. It has whispered to you, perhaps for years, in the enigmatic, richly symbolic, and often surreal landscapes of your dreams, painting vivid, unforgettable visions and scenarios that linger with a peculiar charged significance long after you awaken, demanding your attention and contemplation. These dreamscapes might leave you with an inexplicable sense of profound meaning, a feeling of having received urgent messages to decode, cryptic clues to your path that feel both vital and elusive, or a distinct sensation of having touched, however briefly, a reality far more authentic, more vibrant, more real than your ordinary waking hours, a glimpse behind the veil of mundane perception. You may have also become acutely, sometimes uncomfortably aware of peculiar, almost elastic fluctuations in the perceived flow of time, moments stretching into apparent eternities where a single second seems to hold an entire universe of feeling, insight, or profound connection. Perhaps during meditation, in nature, or in a moment of deep love, or conversely hours, even days, collapsing into mere minutes, leaving you wondering with a sense of bewilderment and sometimes frustration where the precious time has gone, especially when engaged in mundane tasks or feeling disconnected. Alongside this temporal elasticity, inexplicable, often dramatic, surges or sudden perplexing ebbs in your personal energy levels may have become increasingly apparent, a veritable roller coaster of vitality. These energetic phenomena might seem to shadow your steps like a faithful, yet ever mysterious, ethereal companion, sometimes filling you with boundless, almost superhuman vitality, clarity, and creativity for no clear external reason, allowing you to accomplish incredible feats with ease, and at other times leaving you feeling uncharacteristically, profoundly depleted, heavy, foggy-headed, and in desperate need of profound rest, solitude, and energetic replenishment, as if your very life force is being drawn upon for unseen inner work. These are not figments of an overactive or stressed imagination, nor are they mere products of random chance, hormonal imbalances, though these can also be affected, or arbitrary, meaningless biological occurrences, though it is always wise to be mindful of and support your physical well-being through grounded, practical means. The intricate, often bewildering yet ultimately purposeful and divinely orchestrated tapestry of events, sensations, inner shifts, and outer synchronicities you are currently navigating is in fact an integral, pivotal, and profoundly sacred phase of a deeply personal, uniquely tailored, and utterly transformative spiritual awakening, a remembrance of your divine nature and your soul's purpose. You are being summoned, gently yet insistently, as if by an ancient, loving, and irresistible call resonating from the very heart of the cosmos itself, a call that your soul has been waiting eons to hear and respond to. You are being handpicked, not by an external, judgmental deity arbitrarily bestowing favor or judging worthiness, but by the innate, infallible wisdom of your own soul, recognizing its readiness, its ripeness, its courageous willingness to embark upon the next stage of its evolutionary journey. This summons is an invitation to elevate your consciousness, to expand your awareness beyond its previous, often self-imposed or societally conditioned confines, into a more refined, luminous, coherent, and multifaceted dimension of being, a state of greater love, wisdom, and power. This is a realm of existence so profound, so rich with interconnectedness, unconditional love, boundless potential, and exquisite beauty, that its very reality remains largely unknown, unperceived, even unsuspected, or actively dismissed as mere fantasy, wishful thinking, or delusion by the vast majority of humanity, still deeply ensconced in and identified with denser, more limited, and often fear-based paradigms of perception. If this message, these specific words, these resonant concepts, have found their way to your perception, if they stir something deep within you, if they resonate within your heart like a struck chord, a familiar melody, it is not by accident, random chance, or mere happenstance. It is a clear, undeniable, and profoundly resonant indication that you are already immersed, perhaps far more deeply and significantly than your conscious mind currently realizes or acknowledges, in this extraordinary, life-altering, perception-shifting, and sacred process of profound inner transformation. This is not merely another fleeting spiritual concept to be intellectually entertained, analyzed, debated, and then neatly filed away in the archives of your mind, nor is it a fashionable, transient trend that will inevitably fade with the changing seasons of collective interest or the arrival of the next new thing in the spiritual marketplace. This is palpably, viscerally, undeniably real. This is unfolding with vibrant, dynamic immediacy in the sacred crucible of the here and now, within the hallowed, transforming temple of your own being, your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit, and simultaneously, often with uncanny and breathtaking precision, mirrored and reflected in the shifting energies, the evolving circumstances, and the transforming relationships that constitute your external world, your perceived reality. You find yourself poised, perhaps with a captivating, almost breathtaking mixture of profound, soul-deep trepidation, born of the unknown and the shedding of the old, exhilarating, heart-pounding excitement at the prospect of profound liberation and new beginnings, and a touch of sacred, reverent awe at the magnitude and mystery of what is unfolding on the very precipice, the luminous threshold of a new reality, a more expansive, love-infused state of consciousness, often referred to in various spiritual traditions and esoteric teachings as the fifth dimension. And whether you have consciously, intellectually grasped the full, breathtaking, paradigm-shattering import of this truth or not, your soul, your eternal, unwavering, infinitely wise and unconditionally loving essence, has already courageously, joyfully, and irrevocably embarked upon this incredible, perception-altering, identity-dissolving, and life-defining voyage of remembrance and becoming. You might have registered a veritable symphony, a complex and often confusing array of unusual, sometimes perplexed, yet ultimately reassuring and validating physical sensations, a persistent, gentle, almost champagne bubble-like tingling, buzzing, or vibrating sensation in your extremities, particularly your hands, centers of giving and receiving energy, and feet, your connection to the earth, as if your very cells are joyfully, actively recalibrating and vibrating at a new, higher, more refined frequency. Sudden, inexplicable flushes of intense, sometimes fiery heat that spread rapidly through your body, or conversely, moments of feeling an inner, bone-deep chill or coldness despite external warmth, both often signifying significant energetic recalibration, kundalini stirrings, or the clearing of old energetic patterns. A distinct, sometimes uncomfortable, but not usually acutely painful, pressure building behind your eyes, associated with the activation of the third eye chakra, your center of intuition and inner vision, at your temples or at the crown of your head, the opening of the crown chakra, your connection to higher consciousness and the divine, as if your very perception, your energetic antennae, are physically expanding, stretching, to receive and process more light, more information, and higher frequencies. Or perhaps inexplicable, often overwhelming waves of profound, almost debilitating fatigue that wash over you without warning, demanding immediate, deep, and non-negotiable rest, only to give way, often just as suddenly and surprisingly, to unexpected, exhilarating, and seemingly boundless bursts of vibrant, creative, focused, and seemingly inexhaustible energy and inspiration. Your emotional landscape too, that inner world of feelings, may feel significantly, sometimes radically amplified. Your sensitivities, your empathy, your capacity to feel both your own emotions and those of others, heightened to an unprecedented, almost raw, and sometimes exquisitely painful degree. It's as if the world's myriad joys and its deepest sorrows, its breathtaking, heart-stopping beauty and its heart-wrenching, unbearable pain now resonate within you more intensely, more personally, more viscerally, and more profoundly than ever before, making your innate empathy both a profound gift of deep connection and understanding, and at times, a significant, almost overwhelming challenge to navigate with balance, discernment, and consistent self-care. You might find yourself weeping with an intensity that surprises you at the sight of a sunset, the sound of a piece of music, an act of kindness, or conversely, at the news of injustice, cruelty, or suffering in the world. You might experience spontaneous, inexplicable waves of unconditional love, compassion, or a sense of profound oneness washing over you for strangers, for animals, for nature, for all of creation. Time itself, that once seemingly fixed, linear and reliable construct by which you measured and ordered your life, may appear to warp, bend, stretch, and flow with a newfound, almost magical elasticity that defies conventional understanding and often leaves your logical mind bewildered. It might stretch languidly, almost luxuriously, in moments of deep presence, focused meditation, joyful creative absorption, or profound heart-to-heart connection, allowing you to savor each precious nuance, each subtle detail, each fleeting sensation, as if time itself has paused in reverence. Conversely, it might compress with bewildering, almost alarming speed, during periods of intense creative activity when you are in the zone, during deep inner processing or healing work, or even when you are simply engaged in mundane tasks or feeling disconnected and uninspired, leaving you feeling disoriented, rushed, and simultaneously intrigued, and perhaps liberated by its newfound unpredictable malleability. There might be mornings, perhaps with increasing frequency, when you awaken with the distinct, vivid, and lingering feeling of having journeyed to other realms, other dimensions, other planets, other places of profound learning, healing, or important service. During your sleep state, a sensation of straddling two or more worlds simultaneously, one familiar, tangible, and often mundane, the other tantalizingly unknown, ethereal, numinous, deeply resonant with the core of your soul, and often feeling more real than your waking life. These myriad signs, from the grand life-altering epiphanies and direct mystical experiences, to the subtle, almost imperceptible inner shifts in perception, preference, and priority, are not accidental, chaotic, random, or meaningless. They are deliberate, intelligently orchestrated, divinely timed, and lovingly delivered signals, dispatched by your body, which possesses an innate, profound wisdom, far exceeding our current mainstream scientific understanding, and is constantly communicating its needs and its process of transformation, your spirit, your eternal, unbreakable, luminous connection to Source, to all that is, to your own divine essence, and the universe itself, which is not a cold, indifferent, mechanical void, but a conscious, responsive, vibrant, and infinitely intelligent field of living energy and information. They are cosmic affirmations, gentle yet persistent nudges from your inner guidance system, your higher self, your soul, lovingly informing you that something ancient, something sacred, something of profound, life-altering significance, and something divinely orchestrated and perfectly timed is unfurling with grace, power, and beauty within the deepest, most sacred chambers of your being, transforming you from the inside out. And if you have ever found yourself questioning with increasing frequency, depth, conviction, or perhaps even a touch of bewildered frustration, why you seem to increasingly, sometimes radically diverge from the established norms, the unquestioned expectations, and the widely accepted values of the world around you, why certain long-accepted, culturally sanctioned, and often highly prized aspects of societal life, conventional career paths focus solely on material gain or status, traditional relationship models that may feel restrictive or inauthentic, relentless consumerist pursuits that promise happiness but deliver emptiness, divisive political ideologies that foster separation rather than unity, or superficial social interactions that lack depth and genuine connection. now feel hollow, empty, superficial, devoid of true lasting meaning, or fundamentally, jarringly inauthentic to your evolving, awakening core. It is because your soul, in its courageous, unyielding quest for authentic expression, profound liberation, and joyful expansion, is gracefully, yet sometimes painfully, outgrowing the constricting confines, the invisible yet powerful limitations, and the seductive, deeply ingrained illusions of the old, fear-based separation consciousness paradigm. You were brought into existence, born into a world predominantly operating within one particular dimensional framework, a specific, relatively dense frequency band of reality. Yet your destiny, your soul's intrinsic, luminous and unalterable blueprint, was always, from before the very dawn of time, from the moment of your individualization, from source, encoded for another, higher, more expansive, more coherent and love-saturated state of being. You are in a state of profound, continuous, and often remarkably accelerated transition, a sacred alchemical metamorphosis from a metaphorical caterpillar self, bound by earthly limitations, perceived inadequacies, and conditioned fears, into a glorious, liberated butterfly being, capable of embodying, holding, anchoring, and effortlessly radiating a more intense, purer, higher frequency and multi-dimensional light. A life lived not from fear, obligation, external validation, or societal pressure, but from a place of unshakable, heart-centered truth, profound intuitive wisdom, boundless compassion, and joyful, empowered co-creation with the divine. You are consciously, or perhaps still somewhat unconsciously, yet with growing awareness, becoming a living, breathing, conscious bridge, a vital, luminous, and stable conduit between the visible, tangible, material world of form and the unseen, yet powerfully real, influential, and foundational energetic realms of spirit. A crucial, active link in the great, interconnected, multidimensional chain of being, courageously helping to weave heaven and earth together, spirit and matter, within your own transforming experience, and by powerful extension and resonant example, for the healing and evolution of the collective. This exploration, these words offered here with the deepest love, profound reverence, and a sincere desire to support your journey, are intended to serve as your trusted companion, a gentle yet illuminating guide, a comforting, reassuring hand to hold as you navigate each significant, sometimes exhilarating, sometimes challenging, yet ultimately profoundly rewarding and liberating stage of this sacred metamorphosis. We will delve deeply, with open hearts, inquisitive minds, and boundless compassion, into what this extraordinary, unprecedented transformation truly signifies at its core, its divine purpose, its incredible potential for personal and collective evolution, its ultimate promise of liberation and joy. We will explore, with practical examples and relatable insights, how it manifests in the myriad, often interconnected facets of your daily experience, physically in your body and health, emotionally in your feelings and relationships, mentally in your thoughts and beliefs, relationally in your connections with others and the world, and spiritually in your connection to your soul, to spirit, and to your life's purpose, offering insights, perspectives, and practical tools for navigating the often intense changes with greater ease, grace, and understanding. And we will explore with reverence and awe the deeper, often soul-chosen, pre-incarnationally planned, and karmically significant reasons why you, in particular, with your unique soul signature, your specific life path, your accumulated wisdom from past experiences, and your courageous heart, were selected, or rather, courageously, lovingly selected yourself at a soul level, in sacred agreement with the divine, for this extraordinary, often pioneering, and sometimes lonely path, at this pivotal, unprecedented, and profoundly transformative time in human and planetary history. If you have ever pondered the true, soul-deep purpose of your life, with a yearning, aching, almost desperate heart, if you have ever questioned with frustration or even shame the sometimes overwhelming, almost unbearable intensity of your sensitivities, your profound empathy, your vivid perceptions, your deep connection to all life, or if you have ever felt an inexplicable, powerful, almost irresistible, magnetic pull towards something infinitely greater, something beyond your current intellectual understanding, yet deeply comfortingly, thrillingly familiar to the ancient, timeless wisdom of your soul, then this is your pivotal moment of profound comprehension, of deep at soul-level recognition, of liberating insight, of joyfully, gratefully coming home to the magnificent truth of yourself. Because the fifth dimension, this state of heightened, embodied love, profound unity consciousness, and expanded, multi-dimensional awareness, is not a whimsical, escapist fantasy, spun from wishful thinking, spiritual bypassing, or a desire to avoid the challenges of human life. Nor is it some distant, abstract, unobtainable future prophecy to be passively awaited or merely hoped for. It is here, it is now. It is vibrantly, palpably, undeniably alive, both as a potential within you, waiting to be fully actualized, and as an emerging reality all around you, waiting to be fully recognized, courageously embraced, and joyfully, consciously embodied. And it is intimately, lovingly, persistently, and unmistakably calling your name, inviting you, urging you, empowering you to step fully, fearlessly, and magnificently into the complete, radiant, and divine truth of who you truly are. What, precisely, is the fifth dimension? To genuinely comprehend and therefore more consciously, gracefully, and empoweredly navigate the profound, multi-layered transformation unfolding within the depths of your being and rippling out into every aspect of your life, it's absolutely crucial, a foundational necessity, to develop a clear, nuanced, deeply felt, and experiential understanding of what the fifth dimension truly represents, and equally importantly, what it unequivocally does not represent, to avoid common pitfalls and misunderstandings. Firstly, let's lovingly and firmly dispel a common, pervasive, and often misleading misconception that can cause unnecessary confusion, anxiety, or even outright fear, particularly for those new to these concepts. This monumental evolutionary shift in consciousness is not about abandoning your precious, sacred, and incredibly intelligent physical body, attempting to escape or transcend the rich, challenging, messy, beautiful, and ultimately rewarding tapestry of the human experience, nor is it about an instantaneous, magical, Hollywood-style metamorphosis into some ethereal, disembodied supernatural entity floating away from earthly concerns, responsibilities, and relationships in a cloud of detached bliss. That is a significant distortion, often a form of spiritual bypassing where unresolved human issues are avoided rather than integrated, and it represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the true essence, the divine purpose, and the grounded nature of this profound awakening. The body is not a prison to be escaped, a limitation to be overcome, or a source of shame. Rather, it is a sacred, intelligent, and dynamically evolving vessel, a miraculous sentient biocomputer perfectly designed and constantly adapting for this incredible journey of ascension within and through physicality. It is the very temple wherein the sacred alchemy of transformation from density to light, from separation to unity, occurs. It is your anchor in this reality, your vehicle for experience, and your instrument for expressing your soul's light. Instead, envision the fifth dimension not primarily as a distinct, separate physical place one travels to, like another planet or a heavenly realm, but rather as a significantly higher, more refined, and more coherent vibrational frequency of reality, a more luminous, expansive, love-infused, and joy-filled stratum of existence that actually coexists with, yet subtly, powerfully, and increasingly tangibly transcends the denser, more limited dimensions, like the third and lower fourth currently perceived and predominantly experienced by the majority of humanity. It is, at its core, a state of being, a level of consciousness, a way of perceiving and interacting with reality, characterized by a profound, fundamental, and irreversible shift in perception, awareness, values, and experience. In this elevated, heart-centered state, inherent divine qualities such as unconditional love, a boundless, non-judgmental, compassionate acceptance, and profound appreciation for yourself, for all other beings, and for all of life. Recognizing the inherent divine spark, the Christ consciousness, within all, profound and readily accessible intuition. Your inner knowing, the clear, direct, unwavering voice of your soul, your higher self, unclouded by the noise, doubts, and fears of the conditioned egoic mind, enduring an unshakable inner peace, a deep, abiding sense of calm, centeredness, trust, and serenity that persists and even deepens amidst external chaos, uncertainty, or challenge, and a natural, effortless, joyful, harmonious alignment with the divine, the universal intelligence, the creative source of all life, the loving consciousness of all that is, the Tao, the Great Spirit. However you personally perceive and name this ultimate reality, become the very bedrock, the unshakable foundation, the fundamental operating system, the guiding principles of how you perceive the world, how you live your life, how you think your thoughts, how you feel your emotion, and how you make your choices. This is not a static, bland state of emotionless, passionless perfection, or an escape from the richness of human feeling, but rather a dynamic, vibrant, and deeply fulfilling state of authentic presence, profound interconnectedness, heightened emotional intelligence, joyful, empowered co-creation, and a deep sense of purpose and belonging. Contrast this luminous potential with the third dimension, which for many millennia has been the prevailing, dominant reality, the consensus trance, the collective operating system for most of humanity. In this denser, more polarized frequency, life is often structured around and largely driven by, often unconscious principles of perceived survival, a constant, often stressful, and fear-fueled struggle for basic resources, physical safety, and emotional security in a world that is frequently perceived as inherently scarce, competitive, dangerous, or hostile. Powerful, often insatiable egoic drives, the relentless, often exhausting pursuit of external validation, social approval, power over others, material accumulation beyond true need, fame and superficial status, all stemming from a deep, often unacknowledged core belief in fundamental separation, insufficiency, and unworthiness, pervasive, often deeply suppressed or projected, fear of lack, fear of loss, fear of judgment, fear of intimacy, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of pain, fear of death, fear of the unknown, fear of not being enough, fear of being too much, and a deeply ingrained, culturally and ancestrally reinforced sense of fundamental separation. Separation from others, leading to competition, conflict, prejudice, loneliness, and a lack of true community. Separation from the natural world, leading to exploitation, disrespect, ecological imbalance, and a loss of connection to our planetary mother. And most critically and painfully, a profound separation from one's true, divine, eternal self, one's soul essence, leading to pervasive feelings of alienation, emptiness, meaninglessness, depression, anxiety, and a desperate, often misguided search for fulfillment, love, and validation in external things, people, or achievements. In that denser, more contracted reality, individuals are frequently and often quite unconsciously ensnared in complex, often invisible societal systems, rigid cultural conditionings, limiting inherited ancestral patterns and traumas, and deeply grooved personal habits and belief systems that actively perpetuate distraction from inner truth, induce chronic physiological and psychological stress, foster various forms of addiction to substances, to drama, to negativity, to work, to technology, and maintain a profound, often agonizing, disconnect from their innate spiritual essence, their inherent unshakable worth, their true creative power, and their capacity for genuine joy and unconditional love. These limiting, often soul-crushing systems might include exploitative economic structures that prioritize endless profit and unsustainable growth over human dignity, ethical considerations, and planetary well-being, outdated educational systems that often stifle innate curiosity, critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence in favor of rote memorization, standardized testing, and conformity to societal norms. Rigid religious dogmas that, instead of fostering direct spiritual experience and universal love, often promote fear, guilt, judgment, exclusion, and division. Or pervasive, often media-driven, social norms that enforce superficiality, consumerism, conformity, and the pursuit of fleeting external ideals over authenticity, inner depth, individual expression, and soul-aligned living. The fourth dimension, often experienced as a vital, necessary, and sometimes intensely challenging bridge or intermediary realm between the third and fifth dimensions, serves as a crucial and often tumultuous transitional space in consciousness. It is a state of awareness, a vibrational field, where the initial, often tentative yet increasingly persistent, stirrings of spiritual awakening begin to genuinely surface, gain significant momentum, and courageously, sometimes radically, challenge the old, deeply entrenched foundations of one's previous reality. Here, individuals start to seriously, sometimes painfully, question the established narratives of their lives, the unexamined beliefs they were unconsciously taught or forcefully indoctrinated with by family, culture, or institutions, and the societal or familial values they once unthinkingly adopted as their own without true inner resonance. They begin sensing, often with a confusing yet exhilarating mixture of dawning excitement and profound unease, a deeper underlying meaning and purpose to existence, a reality beyond the purely material, a persistent, undeniable call from their soul that can no longer be ignored, suppressed, or rationalized away. They experience a profound, often poignant, persistent, and sometimes agonizing yearning for something more authentic, more fulfilling, more genuinely real. Something that resonates deeply with the increasingly audible, insistent whispers of their soul, a longing for true connection, genuine love, and meaningful contribution. This can be a period of intense inner and outer confusion, profound emotional upheaval, existential questioning, and crisis, as old familiar structures, cherished identities, comfortable certainties, and even significant relationships begin to crumble, dissolve, or transform internally and externally. Yet, simultaneously, it is also a time of immense, breathtaking excitement, dawning, liberating freedom, and the exhilarating emergence of new, previously unimagined possibilities, potentials, and paths. The veil between the worlds thins considerably in the fourth dimension. Psychic abilities may awaken or intensify, synchronicities become more frequent and obvious, and glimpses of a greater, more magical and interconnected reality begin to filter through with increasing clarity and power. However, the fourth dimension can also be a tricky space, as it still contains elements of duality, illusion, and potential for distraction or even deception if one is not well grounded and discerning. But it is in the sustained, embodied, and integrated experience of fifth-dimensional consciousness that the fundamental nature of existence and your personal subjective experience of it undergoes a radical, liberating, joyful, and ultimately irreversible shift. In this higher, more coherent and love-saturated realm of being, your heart, the sacred, luminous chamber of your soul's infinite wisdom, your boundless, unconditional compassion, and your direct, unmediated connection to the wellspring of divine love. Not just your analogical, critical intellect or your conditioned, often fearful ego becomes your primary, most trusted, unerring, and joyfully followed compass. It guides your choices, your words, your actions, your interactions, and your entire life path with an intuitive clarity, a profound sense of inner rightness, a deep resonance with truth, and an unwavering commitment to love, integrity, harmony, and the highest good of all. Time itself, as previously perceived and experienced in its linear, restrictive, and often pressuring form, begins to feel and is experienced as more fluid, malleable, elastic, cyclical, and even multidimensional. It becomes less like a rigid, unyielding external taskmaster that dictates, confines, and stresses your life, and more like a flowing, benevolent, and supportive river of present moments that you can navigate with grace, presence, joy, and conscious creative intention. You learn to operate within and trust divine timing or soul timing, where things unfold in perfect, often surprising and magical synchronicity when you are aligned with your soul's flow and the universe's rhythm. Energy, in its myriad, subtle, yet incredibly powerful and influential forms. Your emotional energy, your mental energy, your spiritual life force, prana, chi, the energy of places and environments, the energy of intentions, the energy of relationships, the energy of consciousness itself becomes your principal, most natural, and most reliable language. It becomes a highly sophisticated, nuanced, and direct mode of perception, communication, interaction, and creation that far transcends the inherent limitations, ambiguities, and potential for misinterpretation of mere words or purely intellectual concepts. You develop and continuously refine an innate embodied ability to read, interpret, sense, and consciously, skillfully work with energetic signatures, both your own and those of others, your environment, and even collective fields of consciousness. You start to perceive and experience life not as a chaotic, meaningless, and often threatening series of random, disconnected events, unfortunate accidents, or cruel misfortunes, but rather as an intricately interconnected, divinely purposeful, ultimately benevolent, and exquisitely intelligent web of living energy, consciousness, and information, where every single experience, every encounter, no matter how brief or seemingly insignificant, every challenge, no matter how difficult or painful, every joy, no matter how fleeting, holds inherent multi-layered meaning, offers valuable, often profound lessons for your soul's growth, and serves your ultimate evolution, your expansion in consciousness, and the fullest expression of your divine potential. The deeply ingrained, culturally conditioned, and often unconsciously held illusion of duality, the stark, often judgmental, and conflict-generating separation between good versus bad, right versus wrong, light versus dark, sacred versus profane, self versus other, us versus them, begins to soften, blur, integrate, and gradually, peacefully dissolve. It is progressively replaced by a more holistic, integrated, compassionate, and nuanced understanding of unity, interconnectedness, the inherent divinity and sacredness in all things and all beings, and the complementary, dynamic, dance-like nature of seeming opposites. You come to recognize that light and shadow, joy and sorrow, strength and vulnerability are all integral, essential parts of the rich, complex, and beautiful tapestry of human experience and the ongoing journey of spiritual growth and integration. Judgment, both the harsh, critical judgment of yourself for past perceived failings, imperfections, or mistakes, and the often equally harsh judgment of others for their choices, behaviors, beliefs, or level of awareness, naturally, progressively, and often surprisingly fades away. It is lovingly replaced by the blossoming of unconditional compassion, genuine, heartfelt understanding, radical acceptance of what is, and a deep reverence for each soul's unique journey and learning process. Fear, that ancient, powerful, and often paralyzing adversary that has held humanity, both individually and collectively, captive in its icy grip for so very long, steadily, consistently loses its power, its influence, and its paralyzing grip on your psyche, your emotions, and your choices, as you increasingly, consciously, and courageously anchor yourself in the unshakable, ever-present, and infinitely loving foundation of divine love, profound inner trust, and unwavering faith in the benevolent, intelligent unfolding of life. And love, in its purest, most unconditional, all-encompassing, and joyfully expressive form, becomes your natural, effortless default state of being, the very air you breathe, the vibrant lens through which you perceive all of reality, the guiding force behind all your actions. You cease to merely react impulsively, unconsciously, habitually, or defensively to life's myriad circumstances from a place of past conditioning, unhealed trauma, egoic protection, or fear-based survival instincts. Instead, you begin with increasing consistency, grace, and mastery to respond with conscious present moment awareness, profound, heart-centered wisdom, genuine, heartfelt grace, creative, empowered resourcefulness, and a deep sense of joyful participation in the divine dance of life. You develop, or rather you remember and reactivate, a heightened, refined, reliable, and incredibly useful sensitivity to the subtle, often imperceptible to others, yet powerfully informative, energy signatures of people, their true underlying intentions, their authentic emotional states beneath any social masks, their vibrational coherence or dissonance, places, their historical energetic imprint, their current vibrational quality, their capacity to support or drain your energy, situations, their underlying energetic dynamics, their potential for growth or conflict, their alignment with your soul's path, and even objects, their energetic imprint from previous owners or their inherent vibrational qualities. You learn to implicitly, consistently, and joyfully trust your intuition, that clear, quiet, unwavering voice within, that undeniable gut feeling, that instantaneous flash of knowing, that gentle nudge from your soul, without demanding constant logical proof, external validation from others, or the approval of societal authorities. You recognize it with growing conviction and gratitude as the direct, unmediated, and utterly reliable voice of your soul, your highest self, your divine guidance system, always leading you towards your highest good and greatest joy. you find yourself, with increasing ease, grace, and a sense of profound rightness, moving in harmonious, fluid alignment with the natural, intelligent, and benevolent flow of life, like a skilled, joyful surfer effortlessly riding a magnificent, powerful ocean wave, or a masterful dancer, perfectly, exquisitely attuned to a subtle cosmic rhythm that others may not even perceive. You navigate life's currents with courage and trust, even when, and especially when, you lack all the logical step-by-step answers, or cannot see the full detailed path ahead with your rational, analytical mind. This profound and liberating shift in consciousness, this ongoing, ever-deepening ascension into higher states of being, this courageous, joyful embodiment of your true, luminous, divine nature doesn't occur instantaneously like flipping a magical light switch, nor is it something that can be forced, rushed, intellectually engineered, or achieved through sheer willpower, aggressive spiritual practices, or egoic striving and ambition. It unfolds organically, gracefully, often in spirals of learning, release, and expansion, rather than a straight linear progression, as your personal vibrational frequency, the sum total of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions, consistently, steadily, and joyfully rises towards greater coherence, love, and light, and your frequency elevates naturally, almost effortlessly in a sense, though it requires conscious participation and commitment, as you consciously, lovingly, courageously, persistently, and with profound self-compassion, release the outdated, limiting beliefs, the heavy, toxic emotional attachments, the constricting negative self-perceptions, and the ingrained dysfunctional behavioral patterns that no longer serve the highest, most luminous, and most joyful evolution of your soul. Consequently, and often as a necessary, albeit sometimes deeply painful, challenging, or disorienting, part of this profound multi-layered purification and energetic realignment process, aspects of your old life, perhaps long-standing, significant relationships that were based on codependency, shared wounding, karmic entanglement, or unequal power dynamics rather than genuine love, mutual respect, and shared growth, career paths or jobs that stifled your soul, compromised your values, drained your life force, or felt utterly meaningless, ingrained addictive habits or coping mechanisms related to food, substances, technology, drama, etc. that kept you small, numb, distracted, or disconnected from your true self, even cherished deeply ingrained identities, roles, or self-images that were built on a less authentic, more limited, or fear-based foundation may begin to crumble, disintegrate, dissolve, transform, or gracefully, sometimes abruptly fall away. This is not an indication that you are doing something wrong, that you are failing in some way, that you are being punished by some external judgmental force, or that your life is falling apart in a negative sense. Rather, it signifies with profound, often liberating clarity, especially in retrospect, that those elements, those structures, those ways of being, those energetic entanglements, were never truly designed, nor were they vibrationally equipped or aligned to withstand the rising tide of your own consciousness, or to accompany you into the higher, more refined, love-saturated, and truth-based frequencies of this profound, life-altering transition. Only that which is rooted in enduring eternal truth, unwavering authenticity, unconditioned heart-centered love, and genuine soul resonance can withstand this powerful vibrational shift and remain, or be lovingly reborn in a new, more aligned form, as an integral, joyful part of your new, more expansive and authentically fulfilling reality. So, if you've been perplexed, perhaps even deeply distressed, confused, or disoriented by why you feel so profoundly, fundamentally, and sometimes uncomfortably different lately, why the world around you, the world you once knew and perhaps even felt comfortable in, now seems increasingly unfamiliar, discordant, superficial, or even alien and hostile to your evolving sensibilities, or why your heart, your soul's unerring compass, passionately, insistently, and sometimes illogically pulls you in directions that defy all conventional wisdom, societal expectation, familial pressure, or the well-meaning but often misguided advice of others. This is the underlying, liberating, and ultimately empowering reason. You are not broken, far from it. You are in fact being meticulously, lovingly, powerfully, an magnificent, joyful, purposeful, and love-filled at growth. Each distinct number sequence, And indeed, each individual number within it carries a unique vibrational signature, an energetic frequency, and a specific, often nuanced and multi-layered meaning or set of meanings that is frequently and precisely tailored to your current life circumstances, your specific unspoken questions or prayers, the particular energies or lessons you are currently navigating, or the developmental stage you are at on your spiritual path. Learning to decode these personal messages is a joyful part of the journey. For instance, the sequence 1111, or its variations like 111, 111, 1111, often appears as a powerful, almost electrifying confirmation when new beginnings, fresh starts, or exciting new potentials are unfolding in your life, when your thoughts, intentions, and vibrational state are manifesting with unusual speed, clarity, and potency, or when you are consciously or unconsciously aligning with a new, higher, more soul-resonant timeline. It serves as a almost urgent signal that your thoughts are exceptionally creative and influential at this time, urging you to maintain a clear, positive, focused, and intentional mindset on what you truly deeply desire to bring into your reality. As you are in a powerful, accelerated manifestation cycle, it's a call to mindful creation. The sequence 222, or 222222232, frequently brings messages of much-needed balance, harmony, cooperation, partnership, both romantic and platonic, diplomacy, patience, and profound encouragement. It reassures you that you are indeed aligned with divine timing, that important relationships are significant and require nurturing, and that events, even if they seem slow or confusing, are unfolding exactly as they should for your highest good and the good of all involved. It often calls for unwavering trust, deep faith in the process, and a willingness to co-create rather than force outcomes. 33-3, or 33-333, is very often a direct, loving, and powerful call from your ascended masters, enlightened spiritual beings like Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Saint Germain, etc., and your personal spiritual teachers, both incarnate and discarnate. It is a clear, comforting reminder that you are surrounded, supported, guided, and deeply loved by powerful, benevolent, and wise spiritual forces who are actively assisting you through this profound and sometimes challenging transformation. It strongly encourages you to consciously call upon them for their specific help, guidance, wisdom, and healing. The sequence 444, or 4444444, frequently connects you with the palpable, comforting presence and unwavering, steadfast support of the angelic realm, your guardian angels, archangels, and legions of angelic helpers. They offer their divine protection, their grounding stability, especially when you feel unmoored or overwhelmed, their unwavering encouragement, and their practical assistance, particularly during times of uncertainty, significant challenge, when you are building new, solid foundations in your life, like a new home, career, or relationship, or when you simply need to feel safe and held. And the sequence 555, or 55555, typically heralds the imminent arrival or current experience of major, often unexpected and sometimes disruptive in an ultimately positive way change, a significant course-altering shift in direction. In your life, a brand new chapter opening dramatically, and perhaps suddenly, an old, outmoded and limiting cycle pattern or relationship closing permanently and often for good, making essential space for something new, fresh, and much more aligned to enter, or a powerful, liberating call from your soul to embrace greater freedom, exhilarating adventure, spontaneity, and the joyful exploration of the unknown. These repeating numbers and the myriad other unique numerical combinations you might encounter on your path are not intended by a loving universe to confuse, frighten, overwhelm, or create obsession. Rather, they are loving, supportive cosmic affirmations, gentle yet persistent pats on the back from a deeply caring and responsive universe. Or sometimes, yes, urgent and important calls to attention when you may have strayed from your path or ignoring crucial inner guidance. They tend to appear with greater frequency, clarity, and insistence when you are at a significant pivotal crossroads in your life, when you are grappling with important decisions, when you are in need of specific guidance, profound reassurance, or a boost of courage, when you are about to take a courageous, life-changing leap of faith into the unknown, or when you are on the very verge of stepping into something far greater, more expansive, more authentic, and more soul-fulfilling than your current perception of yourself and your capabilities allows you to fully grasp. They serve to remind you, often in moments of deep doubt, pervasive confusion, or overwhelming fear, that even when life feels utterly chaotic, completely unpredictable, or overwhelmingly challenging, there is always an underlying, impeccable divine order, an infinite, benevolent intelligence, and a constant loving presence, orchestrating everything that is happening around you, within you, and ultimately, for your highest good and greatest soul evolution. Beyond the fascinating and often deeply personal realm of numbers, synchronicities manifest in a multitude of other equally profound, creative, and personally tailored forms, engaging all of your senses and intuitive faculties. Perhaps you've experienced those uncanny, almost magical moments where a particular song, one that holds deep personal significance for you, a song from your past, or one with lyrics that seem to be speaking directly to your current situation, played unexpectedly on the radio, started streaming on your device, or was even hummed by a stranger, just as you were thinking intensely about a specific person, grappling with a difficult, challenging emotion, or contemplating a crucial, life-altering decision. That is not mere, meaningless coincidence. It is a clear, beautiful instance of profound energetic resonance and divine timing. Your personal energy field, comprised of your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your vibrational state, aligns with a particular frequency in the vast interconnected universal field of consciousness. And the universe, in its infinitely responsive, reflective, and loving nature, mirrors your inner world back to you through sound, image, encounter, event, or even a specific scent or taste, offering undeniable validation, clear guidance, profound comfort, or a much-needed course correction. You might find a perfectly formed white feather in the most unusual, unexpected place, just moments after asking your angels for a sign of their presence. Or you might overhear a snippet of a seemingly random conversation between strangers that directly, astonishingly answers a deep, unspoken question you've been holding silently in your heart for days or weeks. You might open a book at random to a page that contains the exact wisdom you need. Your dreams too, those nightly journeys into the subconscious and superconscious realms, have likely taken on a new, startling depth, a heightened vividness, an intricate complexity, and a profound, often multi-layered significance for you during this accelerated awakening process. You might awaken with a crystal clear, unshakable knowing that something incredibly profound, transformative, or healing shifted or was revealed to you overnight, not just within the symbolic, metaphorical landscape of your personal subconscious mind, but in the very fabric, the energetic template of your multidimensional reality. These are no longer just ordinary, mundane dreams, simply processing the undigested residue of daily experiences, stresses, or anxieties. They are often powerful, energetic downloads from higher intelligence, potent, lucid visions, offering insightful glimpses into other realities, parallel timelines, or future potentials, and richly symbolic, archetypal messages, encoded with layers upon layers of profound wisdom, timely guidance, deep emotional healing, and even instructions for your waking life. You may find yourself soaring effortlessly, joyfully through breathtaking, luminous, otherworldly landscapes that you've never seen or imagined in your waking life. You might find yourself walking courageously, with a sense of purpose, through magnificent light-filled doorways that open into realms of infinite, unconditional love, profound peace, and boundless knowledge. Or you might find yourself engaging in profound, illuminating, and deeply comforting conversations with wise, loving ancestors, benevolent and specific spirit guides, angelic beings, ascended masters, or even clearly recognizable aspects of your own radiant, higher self, all of whom offer timeless wisdom, loving reassurance, practical guidance, and energetic attunements from beyond the veil of ordinary, everyday perception. Some individuals report dreaming of future events with uncanny, verifiable accuracy before they actually happen in the physical world, not always in precise, literal, step-by-step detail, but often in terms of the core feeling, the dominant emotional tone, the key symbolic representation, the energetic signature, or the essential outcome of the impending event. Others receive direct, clear, unambiguous, and sometimes startlingly specific messages in their sleep. Words whispered distinctly, lovingly, and audibly in their ears. Names of people, places, or things spoken with undeniable clarity. or visions so vivid, detailed, multisensory, and palpable that they feel far more real, more substantial, and more impactful than much of waking life itself. These extraordinary, often transformative dream experiences are becoming increasingly common and accessible because your consciousness, your very being, is rapidly, joyfully expanding beyond the perceived, self-imposed limitations of linear, three-dimensional time and space. You are no longer solely rigidly bound by the perceived constraints of a fixed, unchangeable past and an unknown, anxiety-provoking future. You are courageously, gracefully beginning to live, dream, perceive, and operate in a state of fluid, dynamic, multidimensional awareness where past, present, and future are all accessible and interconnected in the eternal now. The intriguing, sometimes unsettling, yet often fascinating phenomenon of déjà vu, that uncanny, fleeting, yet powerful feeling of having already experienced a present moment, a current situation, or a new encounter, has also likely become more frequent, more intense, more vivid, and more pronounced for you as your consciousness expands. You might walk into a room for the very first time in this life, or meet someone entirely new, yet be struck by an overwhelming, undeniable, and often inexplicable feeling that you have already lived this exact moment, had this precise conversation, or known this particular person intimately before, perhaps in another lifetime or a different reality. This isn't just your brain misfiring, a neurological hiccup, a trick of memory, or your imagination playing games with you, as conventional materialistic science might hastily suggest or dismiss. It is often your soul, your expanded multidimensional consciousness, recognizing overlapping timelines, resonant energetic signatures from past life experiences that are bleeding through into your current awareness, or even brief, spontaneous connections with parallel reality experiences where a similar event is unfolding. As you continue to ascend into higher dimensions of consciousness, your awareness naturally, gracefully, and sometimes surprisingly stretches across and gains access to multiple realities, timelines, and dimensional strata simultaneously. What feels like déjà vu is frequently your consciousness, your subtle energy bodies brushing against or briefly merging with another version of yourself, another aspect of your soul's journey in a parallel timeline or a past-future incarnation, where this precise moment, or a strikingly similar one, has in some form, context, or vibrational resonance already occurred or is currently simultaneously occurring. It can be a powerful reminder of the non-linear nature of time and the vastness of your soul's experience. Animals, too, those sentient, intelligent, and often deeply spiritual beings with whom we share this beautiful, precious planet, have likely begun appearing in your life in particularly meaningful, symbolic, highly personal, and often perfectly timely ways, acting as messengers, guides, or confirmations from the natural and spiritual worlds. A majestic hawk, a powerful eagle, or a wise owl might circle gracefully and purposefully overhead, or appear repeatedly in your dreams or meditations, just as you are making a significant, life-altering decision, seeking profound clarity on your path, or needing a sign of protection and higher perspective. A delicate, iridescent butterfly, a symbol of profound transformation and rebirth, might land gently and unexpectedly on your shoulder, your hand, or even your head during a moment of deep grief, quiet contemplation, personal struggle, or when you are yearning with all your heart for a tangible sign of hope, beauty, and the promise of renewal. A playful, cunning fox, a symbol of adaptability and magic, a wise ancient owl, representing intuition and hidden knowledge, or a gentle, graceful deer, embodying sensitivity and heart-centeredness, might cross your path unexpectedly, its fleeting yet potent presence signaling that magic is indeed near, that unseen opportunities are joyfully unfolding, that you need to pay closer attention to your keen intuition and the subtle, often overlooked messages of the natural world, or that the specific quality they represent is needed by you. These creatures, and many others, spiders weaving webs of connection, dragonflies of illusion breaking, wolves of instinct and community, are ancient, wise messengers, totem animals, or spirit allies, beings who carry profound wisdom, specific energetic qualities, symbolic meanings, and healing medicine from the vibrant natural world and the subtle interconnected spiritual realms beyond. Their appearance in your life, especially in unusual, repeated, or highly symbolic ways, is rarely, if ever, random. They often show up with divine precision, precisely when you are in need of their specific guidance, their unique energetic medicine, their protective presence, their reassuring companionship, or simply a gentle yet powerful reminder from Spirit that you are deeply, inextricably, and lovingly connected to all of life, to the entire sacred web of creation, and that you are part of something far greater than your individual self. Even silence itself, once perhaps perceived as mere emptiness, an uncomfortable void, or simply an absence of distracting sound, has likely become imbued with profound, palpable significance, transforming into a sacred, fertile space for deep inner connection, intuitive revelation, and communion with the divine. There are moments, perhaps increasingly frequent and cherished, when everything around you seems to magically, peacefully pause, to collectively hold its breath in reverence. The usual cacophony of urban traffic noise fades into a distant, almost inaudible hum. Animated, often superficial conversations inexplicably quieten or cease altogether. The wind, that restless messenger, momentarily ceases its blowing, and in that deep, resonant, almost tangible stillness, that sacred hush, you feel an undeniable, loving, and profoundly comforting presence watching over you, holding you, enfolding you in its embrace. Not in a frightening, intrusive, judgmental, or critical way, but in a deeply comforting, profoundly reassuring, unconditionally loving, and infinitely wise one. That presence is real, it is palpable, it is intelligent. It could be your personal guardian angel, making their loving presence clearly known, a dedicated, familiar spirit guide offering silent, steadfast support and encouragement, a wise ancestral spirit bestowing their blessings, protection, and ancient wisdom, or even the universe itself, the conscious, loving intelligence of all that is, acknowledging, honoring, and tenderly affirming your courageous awakening process. In these sacred, pregnant, and often transformative silences, the veil between the worlds, between the seen and the unseen, thins considerably, becoming almost transparent, gossamer-like, and in these precious moments you are gently, lovingly, and powerfully reminded that you are never, ever truly alone, that you are an integral, beloved, and essential part of a vast, interconnected, and infinitely benevolent cosmic family, a universal symphony of light and love. People too are reappearing in your life, or entirely new individuals are entering it, at moments that feel so perfectly, divinely orchestrated, so impeccably timed, that they utterly defy any explanation, based on mere coincidence or random chance. Someone you haven't heard from, or perhaps even thought about in many years, might suddenly, unexpectedly send you a message, an email, or call you on the phone just when you were most in need of their specific brand of encouragement, their unique perspective, a piece of forgotten wisdom they once shared, or a vital piece of information they happen to possess that unlocks a current challenge for you. An old friend, perhaps one from a distant chapter of your past, might resurface as if guided by an unseen hand, bringing with them an invaluable insight, a shared memory that sparks a crucial realization, a timely connection, or a compassionate ear that helps you see your current path, a confusing situation, or a difficult relationship with newfound clarity, understanding, and a sense of peace. Or perhaps, conversely, and sometimes painfully, someone significant leaves your life suddenly, unexpectedly, or through a gradual drifting apart. While this departure might initially be painful, confusing, or trigger feelings of loss and rejection, it often in retrospect creates the necessary energetic space, the sacred fertile void, for something new, something far more aligned with your evolving, authentic self, to joyfully and gracefully enter. These connections, both the often surprising arrivals and the sometimes challenging departures, are frequently, if not always, intricately orchestrated by the universe, by the subtle yet powerful law of attraction and vibrational resonance, and by your own soul's pre-incarnational plan and agreements. Each person who crosses your path, whether for a fleeting moment or a lifetime, serves a specific, often divine purpose in your ongoing evolution, your learning, your healing, and your expansion. Some are here to teach you valuable, sometimes difficult but ultimately empowering, lessons about yourself, about love, about boundaries, about life. Others are here to test your resolve, your commitment to your truth, your ability to stand in your power with integrity and compassion. And some, blessedly, are simply here to love you unconditionally, to see and reflect your own inner light and beauty, to remind you of your inherent goodness, your divine worth, and the joy of authentic connection. The outer world, your perceived external reality, which once seemed so solid, fixed, and independent of your inner state, is now increasingly, and often with startling immediacy and obviousness, reflecting your inner truth, your dominant vibrational state, your most prevalent thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. What you consistently, consciously or unconsciously think, what you deeply, authentically feel, and what you truly fundamentally believe at a core subconscious level begins to shape, influence, and manifest in your external reality in almost real time, with a decreasing and sometimes non-existent time lag between your inner focus and its outer reflection. If you focus predominantly, even if unintentionally, on fear, lack, limitation, and problems, you will likely continue to attract and experience situations, people, and circumstances that reinforce and validate those very fears, limitations, and problems, creating a self-perpetuating cycle. But if you consciously, deliberately, consistently, and joyfully choose to cultivate and embody faith, gratitude, inner peace, abundance, consciousness, unconditional love, and unwavering trust in the benevolent flow of life, you will begin to see tangible, undeniable, and often miraculous evidence of divine support, loving guidance, joyful synchronicities, and abundant opportunities manifesting all around you, often in the most unexpected, delightful, and perfectly timed ways. Your thoughts are no longer just fleeting, internal, private, inconsequential musings. They are now clearly recognized by you as potent, creative, vibrational forces, like focused beams of energy that are actively, powerfully shaping your destiny, your experiences, and your reality, moment by precious moment. This profound, empowering, and sometimes sobering realization means you must, and indeed will, naturally desire to become increasingly conscious, mindful, discerning, and responsible regarding every thought you choose to entertain and energize, every word you elect to speak, both internally to yourself and externally to others, and every action you decide to take or not take, because you are now consciously, actively, and joyfully co-creating your reality in partnership with the universe, with source energy, with your higher self, in ways that are more direct, more immediate, more potent, and more joyfully responsive than ever before in your human experience. The universal law of attraction, the fundamental principle that like attracts like, that your dominant vibration draws to you experiences of a similar vibration, isn't just an abstract spiritual concept, a philosophical idea, or a New Age platitude to be casually discussed. It is a living, breathing, fundamental, immutable, operational reality in your life, a universal law as real, as consistent, and as impersonal as gravity. And the more deeply aware, accepting, and skilled you become in understanding and consciously working with this foundational truth, the more responsibility you inherently, willingly, and joyfully carry for the quality, the coherence, and the intention of the energy you consistently, consciously put out into the world, and therefore into your own life, through your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your beliefs, and your deeds. This is the path to true empowerment and conscious creation. Synchronicities, these meaningful, often magical coincidences, are not just for your personal benefit, your comfort, your amusement, or to make you feel special, though they certainly can do all of those things. They also serve as gentle yet profound tests, or rather opportunities for growth, from the universe and your own soul. They reveal, both to you and to the cosmos, how much you truly, deeply trust the unfolding, intelligent process of your life, how profoundly you believe in an underlying benevolent and responsive universal order, even when things don't make logical sense or go according to your ego's plans. When you see a clear, resonant sign and immediately question it with skepticism, dismiss it with cynicism, or rationalize it away as mere meaningless coincidence, doubt, that subtle saboteur of faith, can creep in, obscure the intended message, and potentially weaken your connection to the divine flow, to your intuitive guidance. But when you acknowledge the sign with genuine gratitude, when you open yourself to its potential guidance with childlike curiosity and wonder, and when you allow it to gently, wisely influence your choices, your perceptions, and your actions with courage and intuition, you significantly, palpably deepen your connection to the divine flow, to the universal intelligence that is always lovingly seeking to communicate with you, to guide you, and to support your highest good. The universe, in its infinitely responsive, intelligent, and loving nature, often, if not always, rewards genuine trust, heartfelt gratitude, and courageous action with even more signs, greater clarity, more overt guidance, and an increasing sense of being joyfully in sync with the rhythm of life. The more you consciously notice, acknowledge, appreciate, and act upon them, the more frequently, clearly, and powerfully they appear in your experience. Not because they weren't always there in some form or potential, but because your perception, your energetic frequency, your very state of being is now finally exquisitely attuned to their subtle yet powerful loving presence. You are learning to speak the language of the universe. You may sometimes wonder, especially in the early stages of this profound awakening or during moments of inevitable self-doubt, fatigue, or when facing external skepticism, is this really truly happening to me? Am I just imagining all of this, making it up to feel better, or perhaps over-interpreting ordinary everyday events through a biased spiritual lens? These questions, these moments of doubt, are natural, understandable, and even a healthy part of the human experience of integrating such profound paradigm-shifting changes. They invite deeper inquiry, greater discernment, and a more grounded embodiment of your experiences. But deep down, in the quiet, unshakable, luminous recesses of your heart, in the very core of your eternal being, you already know the answer. You feel it in your bones, in the undeniable resonance of your heart, when a truth is spoken or experienced, in the very essence of your soul, which recognizes its own reflection in these sacred experiences. Something deep, ancient, and wise inside you resonates profoundly, unmistakably, and joyfully with these signs, these whispers from the universe, these gentle nudges from your soul. They speak to a part of you, your eternal divine self, that has always known the deeper truth, the interconnectedness of all things, the inherent love that underpins all of reality. They connect with the part of you that joyfully remembers who you truly are beneath all the accumulated, often heavy, layers of egoic conditioning, societal programming, familial imprinting, and perceived, self-imposed limitation. You are not chasing synchronicities, desperately seeking external validation or magical signs. Rather, they are, in a very real, tangible, and beautiful sense, chasing you, seeking you out, drawn to your rising light because you have become, or are rapidly becoming, a luminous, radiant beacon of love, truth, and hope in a world that so desperately needs it. Your personal energy field has significantly, demonstrably shifted, your vibrational frequency has measurably, palpably risen, and the universe, like a finely tuned, infinitely responsive cosmic instrument, is responding accordingly, in kind, drawn to your increasing radiance, coherence, and authenticity. Every sign, every small, unexpected miracle, every unsolicited gift of kindness or opportunity, every perfectly timed serendipitous encounter is tangible, irrefutable, heartwarming proof that you are exactly where you need to be on your unique, sacred journey, on the precise path your soul has lovingly chosen for its growth and expression, moving ever forward, ever upward, on your unique, magnificent journey of awakening, remembrance, and conscious co-creation. So keep your eyes open with childlike wonder and joyful expectation. Keep your heart soft, receptive, compassionate, and full of gratitude, and keep your mind curious, inquisitive, discerning, and courageously open to infinite, miraculous possibilities. The universe is constantly lovingly speaking to you, communicating its boundless love, its unwavering support, and its impeccable guidance, not always in loud, dramatic, earth-shattering proclamations that shake the heavens and demand attention, but more often and more intimately, in gentle, subtle whispers on the wind, in the fleeting, knowing glances from a stranger's eyes, in the symbolic language of nature, in the intuitive feelings that arise from within, and in the golden, luminous threads of profound meaning that are intricately, beautifully woven into the seemingly ordinary, everyday fabric of your daily life, waiting to be discovered and cherished. And the more you consciously, lovingly pay attention, the more you listen with your heart rather than just your head, the more you will realize with breathtaking, liberating clarity that everything, absolutely everything, is indeed interconnected, that everything holds profound, multi-layered meaning, and that everything, even the challenges and difficulties, is ultimately divinely happening for your highest good, your greatest evolution, and the benevolent, joyful unfolding of the divine plan for your life and for all of creation. And always, 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 remember, with every fiber of your being, you are not, and never have been, going through this alone. You are being lovingly, powerfully, and constantly guided, cherished, supported, and fiercely protected by forces, by intelligences, by beings of light, by a love far greater, wiser, and more magnificent than your conscious everyday self can currently fully comprehend or imagine. Trust the signs, follow the breadcrumbs of your intuition. Let the synchronicities joyfully, playfully lead you ever closer to home, to the magnificent, unveiled, and liberating truth of who you are, why you are here, and the incredible divine adventure that awaits you. 3. Spiritual sensitivity, the awakening of your innate gifts. You have always, from the very inception of your soul's journey, possessed them, these inherent, often latent spiritual gifts, these subtle yet extraordinarily powerful capacities of refined perception, intuitive knowing, energetic influence, and profound connection. They were never truly absent from your being, merely dormant, like precious potent seeds, buried deep within the fertile, receptive earth of your subconsciousness, patiently awaiting the right internal and external conditions. The warmth of your dawning awareness, the gentle rains of self-acceptance and self-love, and the nourishing light of conscious intention, to finally sprout, courageously break through the surface of your ordinary perception, and gloriously flourish into their full magnificent expression. For years, perhaps even for many lifetimes, they lay veiled, obscured, and often unacknowledged beneath accumulated layers of dense societal conditioning that frequently dismisses, devalues, or actively fears that which is unseen, intangible, and non-rational. They were clouded by insidious self-doubt, often instilled from a young age by a world that predominantly prioritizes and rewards the logical, analytical, and material over the intuitive, holistic, and spiritual, and they were muffled, almost silenced, by the pervasive, distracting, and often discordant noise of a dominant paradigm that didn't always, or perhaps rarely, create or honor sacred, receptive space for that which is subtle, intangible, intuitive, and profoundly, life-affirmingly spiritual. But now, something fundamental, something incredibly powerful and divinely timed within you is shifting, stirring, awakening from its long, patient slumber. You're beginning to feel things, emotions, energies, atmospheres, with a new, startling, and sometimes overwhelming depth and intensity. You're sensing subtle energies, nuanced vibrations, and unspoken truths in people, places, and situations that you never consciously noticed or registered before. You find yourself knowing things with a quiet, unshakable certainty, without any logical explanation of how or why that information, that insight, that guidance arrived so clearly and undeniably in your awareness. This is not your imagination running wild, nor is it a sign of impending delusion, wishful thinking, or emotional instability, as your conditioned mind or skeptical others might sometimes suggest. It is the genuine, beautiful, empowering, and perfectly natural awakening of your innate, God-given spiritual sensitivity, your soul's inherent perceptual toolkit. As this refined, heightened sensitivity courageously rises to the surface of your conscious awareness, your divine soul-level gifts,